It's time. It's time to break up. No one likes breakups. No one wants to do this, and yet avoiding it, delaying it, hiding from it, pretending, deceiving, you're done. It feels bad. You know you gotta do it, but it's absolutely freaking terrifying. And maybe you even tried, maybe you even started the conversation and then, reverted and said, no, actually, everything's fine. No, I'm with you forever, baby. I've been there. Trust me, this is the nice person's plight. It's very, very hard to break up with people. And I'm gonna share the 3 reasons why, which will help you have the courage and confidence to say what needs to be said, do what you need to do in your life, to really do something that's gonna not only positively benefit you, but even your partner, even your girlfriend or boyfriend, whoever you're with, it's gonna make things better in their life too. And you're gonna see that by the end of this video. So watch this all the way to the end, discover exactly how, and I'm even gonna share how to say it, because sometimes people are like, what do I say? Or what do I do if they say this? I'm gonna give some exact tips on how to do it. But first, we gotta uncover the 3 fears about why you're so afraid. And this is from not just my own experience, but working with thousands of clients over the years, many of which have gone through different relationships, ended relationships, and I've uncovered the key, persistent, repeating fears. Fear number 1, I'm gonna kill my partner. No, I don't mean you're gonna murder them. I mean, you're leaving, you're no longer wanting to be with them, or maybe not even loving them anymore, is going to crush them. It's going to rip out their heart. And the fear behind that is that makes you a very, 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 very bad person. How could you do this to them, you monster, right? And that's the feeling, that's the fear. It's this overwhelming, crushing guilt, this sense of badness and heavy, like, oh, how could I do that? I can't do that to them. And you might even focus on life circumstances. Not right now when they're in the middle of this. Oh my God, they're having so much hard time at work right now. I can't leave them there. Oh, but they got this thing, they're trying to quit drinking for this month, and now I'm gonna leave them and they're gonna go become an alcoholic and it's my fault. That's sounding familiar? So it's number 1 is I'm gonna crush them. It's gonna be too much for them to handle. Number 2 is you're never gonna find anybody else. Enjoy your life of singledom until you die as a lonely, lonely old man or woman, right? That's the other fear and story, is that I'm never gonna find anybody else, or I'm never gonna find anybody like this but they have these positive qualities, and I'm never gonna find anybody else who has those positive qualities, and it feels really true. This one is so bizarrely false, but yet so persistent in every person's relationship that I ever talked to has a fear about it, that it almost seems like it's some sort of biological product of the bonding that occurs. It's some delusion the trick we play on ourselves to prevent the ending of a relationship, because it's clearly not true, and yet we believe it. So that's fear number 2, never gonna find nobody else like this, so you might as well stay forever. And number 3, man, this one is the fear that pervades all things, but it's what would they think? Not just my partner, but everybody, their friends. What about my partner's friends or mutual friends, or oh my God, their family or my siblings, and the more this gets loaded with the cultural expectations of, but you should be here, and look, oh my gosh, my other friends are having children and here I am breaking up. Oh God, I'm even further behind in life. I'm such a loser. What is my mom gonna think of me? She loves my partner. Oh God. And you have this big committee in your head of like 75 people who are all like, no, just stay, be a good boy and a good girl or whatever it is, and stay where you're supposed to stay. Are these resonating for you? Do you see yourself in these fears? Well, the good news is now you get to see it's not just you. And these are drawn from literally thousands of people over the years. So if that's the pattern, then maybe, just maybe, those stories are not unique to you, they're not yours, and they're not necessarily accurate predictions of what's going to happen. So let's bust the fears, set yourself free. Number 1, when you say they can't handle it, you know what that means? You can't handle it, but you can. You're telling yourself emotionally, you're basically saying, I don't want to handle it. It's too much for me. And this is the heaviness of all this, is not the feelings of the ending. Endings happen in life. Endings are natural. Endings are necessary for new beginnings to occur. But what makes it so heavy is this guilt burden that you're carrying, which is I must never cause pain in another. But you know what? You are. People are going to feel pain, especially in love and relationships. They are going to feel pain sometimes. And that is not some fundamental flaw or great sin that you've committed. That's just life. And so your actions are going to cause pain in others, and ultimately that is healthy and normal and natural, because you're not responsible to remove all pain in everybody and make sure they never experience it again. They had pain before they were going to be with you. They've had pain sometimes in your relationship, and they're going to have pain as the breakup and after the relationship. Could be related to you, could be related to something else. That's an inevitable part of life. And the sooner you really get that on a deep level, that you're not responsible to make sure that no one has pain in life, you can feel a lot more free to be you and to go after what you want. Number 2, that you're never going to find anybody else. Really? I mean, come on, just like slow down for a minute and actually examine that. never gonna find nobody. And if that's the case, like maybe you lucked into this relationship, then you might have a low romantic confidence. You don't feel like you're the selector who gets to choose who you want to be with in the world. You might need to build your confidence to be able to connect and date. And if you've never done that, you kind of started this relationship when you were young, or it's been a long time, yeah, you're gonna have to get back on the horse, to build some social muscle. And so sometimes when we're resistant to doing something that takes effort over time to get a skill, to build up our capacities, we just tell ourselves it's impossible, and it's about staying comfortable. But really, you can absolutely connect. You can have so much better. And that's what I found, is that people are willing to take the risk, can have this and this. I can have this awesome relationship and they have these qualities, and I don't have to settle in my life. And then number 3, what would they think? You know, this is where I was working with a client and he was gonna end this relationship. It's like, oh my God, this and that, what are they gonna think of me? And I said, you know, what if 2024 was the year of selfishness? We're gonna celebrate you being a more selfish you in 2024. And he got what I meant, because he read my book, Not Nice, where I talk about that being a bit more selfish is not doesn't make you a monster. It actually is a healthy self-interest. And he's like, okay, which is basically saying, hey, I'm gonna value what I want in my life. He was in his 50s. He'd done always what he was supposed to do for them, and he was miserable, at least in his relationship. And so he made a change. He chose for himself. He did what was right for him, and man, his life was absolutely extraordinary. He moved to a new city. He eventually found a new partner that just lit him up and met him all these ways that the other one didn't, and he fully came alive. That's what's possible on the other side. So I told you that I wouldn't leave you without telling you what you actually say. Well, here's the secret. The secret is to say something about your desire to end the relationship and it's not working for you. Because if you go into, here's the 7 reasons why I don't like you. Let me pull out my pen. Number 1. Now, I'm not talking about a conversation where you want to bring up your grievances and maybe improve the relationship. That's a different conversation. Sure, then you got to talk about what's not working for you. But if you know you're going to end it, like, but why? But why? But I see the biggest mistake all the time, especially for nice people, is you spend a long time trying to convince them that they should also agree that it's a good idea. Well, it's because of this, and you see how we're not a good fit there. Don't you see why it's not right for us? And they're like, I don't see why it's not right for us. It is right for us. Oh, and you're like, oh God, they're crying. You don't need to convince them. You just need to tell them. Now, I've been thinking about it a lot recently. I feel like at this point, it's not working for me, and I want to move in a different direction, you know? And statements like, it just doesn't feel right for me. It's not a fit for me. And resist the urge and the temptation to convince them or give them the 17-point list thinking it's going to help them see your case more. It's just going to make them feel awful, and you're going to feel awful, and it's a super long conversation you probably don't want to have. So I think you got what you need. Rewatch this video as needed, and hopefully it gives you the courage and the confidence to do the right thing for you and ultimately for the other person. Because that's the last point here. Do they really want to be with someone who doesn't want to be with them? Isn't it honoring of them to open the doorway for someone who's really going to cherish and love everything about them and want to be with them forever? Because that is a much more beautiful gift that you can give this person and yourself as you step forward in your life. All right, share down below in the comments what you're finding most valuable. Until we speak again, may have the courage to be who you are and to know on a deep level that you're awesome.